I'm still honing my budding splatter art talents. This time, however, the paint splatters are pre-made, so you don't have to make them with the brushes in the program if you don't want to. You can get these paint splatters from Pixabay or from a site called FreePic. When you open the FreePic site, it looks like it's all AI, but just search for paint splatter or watercolor. They may make you set up an account. You get 10 free downloads per day, or you can pay for their premium level. Here I have a picture of a butterfly that I got off of Pixabay. The first thing I need to do is to get rid of the background, so I'll go over here and click on the Object Selection tool, which is the one that looks like the Hooters logo. I'll click on that, and then we'll wait on it to think. And once it thinks, we'll try to select as much as we can. We want to get all this out of here. But we can always make things better with the other selection tool. That's where we'll do the cleanup. Okay, so let's come over here and click this selection tool and see how much of these ants we can get rid of. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of these. And get rid of this. And smooth all this out. So we need to make sure that we get as clean a selection as we can. Most of the time this works pretty well. Now what we need to do is to go up to Select and then Invert Pixel Selection. Now keep in mind that if you select the object itself and not the background, you don't have to do the Invert Pixel Selection thing. You've already selected it. But I usually select the background because I think it's just easier for me to do that. Oh, we still have some stuff down here we need to get rid of. Popped up. There, get rid of all those ants. Okay, so once we get everything fixed, we just press the Refine button, and then we check and see if we have anything we need to clean up. Not too much, maybe this around his little head. And in here. And it looks like that's about it. So for output, we need to output to mask and then apply. So now right here we've got this background and we've got the mask with it. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is we need to do two adjustments on this because we have to get the color out of it. First of all, we'll do a black and white adjustment. So we'll go up here to black and white, do the black and white adjustment, and then fiddle around with our... I always like to get it as dark as I can without making it too black because I think it absorbs the color better when we do our paint splatter when I do that. So there's black and white, and then we'll add another adjustment, and that one is threshold. A lot of this, if you've been watching my videos, should be familiar. So let's take a look at the threshold, see if we can fix it a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Okay, and then we'll close that, and now we have our black and white layer. Now what we want to do is we want to merge these so we can just have one layer. And so I'm going to right click on this and go to Merge Visible, and it will merge all those visible layers. Visible means that we've got them turned on over here. So now we just have one layer and we can get rid of these other layers. I always uncheck them so that I can convince you that nothing is going to happen if we get rid of them. So we will click on each of these layers and delete that one and that one. So now we have our butterfly in black and white, and I'll name that layer Butterfly. There's the black and white part taken care of. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is notice that this is transparent, and we need a white background for this. So before we do that, make sure that you click off of the butterfly, or if you try to put a white background, lay a white background over the top, things are going to look really weird, and we don't want that. First of all, I'm going to make sure that the white circle is there because we're going to do a white fill. And then I'm going to go over here, and under this lasso, you'll see that we have the rectangular marquee tool, and that's how we're going to pull our rectangle over this. Okay, and then once we do that, we're going to go over here to the paint bucket tool and then just dump white paint on the top. The assistant will remind you that it has to rasterize that layer, so you don't have to do that. And now we can go back here and make sure that it's covering everything. Usually I just pull it out to make sure I don't have any weird gaps that are going to look funny later. Now we need to take this and pull it down to where it's below the butterfly. Now our black and white butterfly has a white background. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to need to do is to go to File, and this is where we're going to pull in our first splatter. Okay, so I'm going to go File and Place, and then I'm going to select the watercolor, Splatter 1, and open it and drag it over the top of our butterfly. Originally, when I first tried to do this, I tried to use several ink blots, and it didn't work out very well, so I'm just going to use one, and I'm going to pull it over. Let's get rid of those ants. Ah, there we go. So we're going to pull it over the whole thing and get that to where it's all covered up. When I tried to do 3 ink blots, it just turned out to be a little bit much. So I'm going to just pull this until we have everything covered up. We can always move it around later if we hate it. Get that covered up. And pull that down. So I think we probably have it more or less the way we want it. And then what we'll do is we'll go over here to the blend mode menu and go down and go to the second group of modes, and then I'm going to choose lighten. This is screen, this is color dodge. Color dodge I've never found was a good idea. I guess it's useful sometimes. I'm going to choose lighten. And so now what we've done is we've blended our splatter into the butterfly, and that is what color our butterfly is right now. Now what I want to do is I want a watercolor splash, and so I'm going to go out here and go to Place, and in my folder I have a watercolor splash, and that's what this is. This is going to be sort of a background. It's going to be a background in front of the background is what it's going to be. So I'm going to click on that and open it and then put the splash on. It doesn't really need to cover the whole thing. As a matter of fact, I really don't want it to, because I want it to just be on the outskirts of my butterfly. And again, we can adjust it if we want. So I'll need to move it to where it's right below the butterfly. And there we are. And let's see. Oops, don't want to do that. I need to make sure that I am selecting the right thing. So I'm going to move that around, but I want, some white space on the outside too. and you're going to get that anyway. So I have white splash on there, and I tried adjusting this to where it would be lighter. I don't know. I don't want it to be too light, or else it's not going to look... No, I'll leave it at 100%. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is I want to bring in more splatters. And these are going to be watercolor 4, which I'm going to bring in, and I'm not going to stretch those. I'm just going to put them as watercolor splatters. So I'll have one there, and then check off of that. And that is going to be multiply. So that's multiply. That's where it's going to blend into it. We can move them around and see what kind of blending we like. And then the next one is going to be file place. And the next one is going to be splatter 5. Open that. Put it over here somewhere. Just to give it more splatter looks. I'm not even sure I want it to be that big. And that one is going to be multiply. So it blends in a little bit. And then I'm going to duplicate that because I want another one of those. And if I don't like it, I'll just change my mind and delete it. And that, since we duplicated the one that I already said multiply, it's got the multiply blend mode on it too. We can turn these around and make these bigger or smaller or whatever you want to do for your splatter. So let me see. I don't like to make these too big because they are supposed to be watercolor splatters. And move that out here a little bit. Now maybe move that down. Okay, let's click off of that and see how we look. Okay, I think that looks okay. Let's see if we... No, it doesn't look like splatter. Well, maybe it does. I think I'll lighten that up a little bit. Opacity a little bit. So now we have it looking like that. On second thought, no, I don't like that. So I'll change it back to 100%. I'll just leave this one as it is. And then let's take a good hard look and see what our paint splatter art looks like with our butterfly. So there we are, our paint splatter butterfly art. I'll be posting this to my Buy Me a Coffee webpage, so check it out. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted to more videos. Visit my Buy Me a Coffee webpage to check out my posts, my image gallery, and to support my channel.